Hello, everyone. So we are live with the analysis of CDC Pro-1 2026, and this is the first mock that we are analyzing. And we have Shipu sir, GP sir, Jijo sir with us. So let's see. So what are inputs, GP sir, Jijo, Shipu sir? क्या लग रहा है?
So this is season 2026. देखते हैं अभी क्या होने वाला है, right? But we tried to see how to create a paper close to the Indore wala scores, right? Though we can't. This is not apples to apples comparison, right? Between what we created as a format and the actual paper, but I think we were pretty close to it. I think.
So if I actually talk about, so first of all, the thing is that there is no guarantee that history is going to repeat.
Correct.
So that is number one. History may not repeat, but the whole point was history is available. Why not use it, right? So that was just a thought, at least to kickstart the CDC Pro season. So I can kind of give you. I think that if I look at the 2020 paper IIM Indore last time, there were something in VRC that I found was interesting, right? So one was the usual thing about the same passages by 500 words, same type of questions. And in fact, I think 2020, there was a COVID, the first 2 hour test, and they made it to 76 question paper. But I think what was very interesting VRC is that if you actually look at 2017, 2018 paper, almost all the passages were taken from articles, from all the New York Times and stuff. 2019 paper was IIM Query Code. That is when you saw one article, one from book, and one from Encyclopedia of Human Philosophy. I think the 2020 Indore paper is the one that went berserk. I have seen article, essays, journals, books. So if we obviously the picking article from across the case, I would also, if I look at the type of questions that were asked, not that about 78% of the questions, I think this is the highest, is logical in nature, inference, author agreement, strength and weakness, and we have to be moderate. So that doesn't mean automatically means a question is going to be tough, right? So if you look at the kind of distribution of score, will be more or less the same. One of the things that I think through CDC Pro mock number 1, at least from a perspective of VRC, what we wanted to do is, what if we kind of recreate that kind of diverse sources? So people would have found reading some passages painful, but if they're stuck to it, if you looked at the questions and options, they would have still eliminated and got the answers right. So that is with respect to VRC of 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, the 2020 DILR also, I think DILR and Quant, I feel the shift from a 60-minute to 40-minute also would have made a difference in terms
Correct.
of feeling the pressure. करने वाले तो उतनी ये 3-4 ही attempt करते हैं, right? So I think that psychological pressure of being constricted for time is some major factor as far as DILR is concerned. Quant, I think Quant 18 odd questions were doable, but we are not obviously comparing apples to apples because the number of questions were a little more, because it was all adding up to about 75 plus questions, whereas now we are at around 68. So marginal increase in the number of questions, but I feel the pressure of DILR has increased in the last, since the time that Indore paper has happened, right? I think people find a lot more difficult to do DILR now than pre-COVID times, I feel.
I also remember, I don't know whether it's right, but I also remember that 2020 DILR has got a lot of logical reasoning. I think what about that missing numbers rather than actual data interpretation types. I think that's what I remember. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah.
Your 2020 paper had one set of DI and 4 sets of LR.
Yeah, right. So
one set of DI, pure and simple DI, numbers related, where you have to do the percentage change, etc., and so on and so forth. The remaining 4 were LR by and large.
Okay. All right.
Hi Ravi, welcome
hi.
to the season.
Hi.
Season 5, season 6 जो भी है.
I think it's around 2020 that we started video solutions. So this is season 7.
Yeah, correct. This is season 7. Okay.
In
All right.
2020,
Shashank,
QA was. So in 2022, QA was miraculously easy. DILR was surprising for everyone, but I would say one thing, that if you have a 40-minute paper, doesn't make a difference how many questions you give. You give 22 questions, तब भी उतने ही करने. You give 24 questions, तब भी उतने ही होंगे. You give 50 questions, तब भी उतने ही होंगे. So I don't think that number of questions actually make a lot of difference. They do a little bit, but not a lot of difference.
नहीं, इसमें होता क्या शशांक, in a paper which has got 20 questions versus a paper which has got 30 questions, especially in quant, a 30-question paper will typically have larger number of easier questions, because it is probably a little more difficult to create large number of difficult questions. So when you look at the percentage of questions of lower level of difficulty, bigger paper or paper with more questions, typically you find a few extra questions. So if it's a 1 hour paper of quant, let's say with 34 questions होता था ना, 34 questions, okay, doing up to 20 was not a challenge, okay, and उसके अंदर you will typically have I'll say about 10 odd easy questions, okay. In terms of ratio, the difference is not going to be much, okay.
So it all boils down to leaving, identifying 6 questions to leave versus 16 to leave.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
ज्यादा फ्रीडम मिलता है छोड़ने का.
हाँ, freedom ज़्यादा मिलता है छोड़ने का.
तो छोड़ने का फ्रीडम ज्यादा मिलता है, और जब छोड़ने का फ्रीडम ज्यादा है तो then it is, I mean, if you remember when 2020 it was 4 sets, but suddenly in 2021 2020 it was 5 sets.
5 sets.
21 or 22 I think it became 4 sets again.
Yeah.
But when it shifted from 4 sets to 5, जब 4 sets हुआ था ना, it means, see, to get a 99th percentile in DILR also, you will probably have to scratch at least the third set with 1 or 2 questions, if not the entire set, right? So उसमें the choice of leaving itself was not there in a 4 set DILR paper. When it is 5 sets, you get additional choice कि अच्छा एक आध अगर नहीं भी आ रहा है, बिल्कुल ही नहीं चमक रहा है, then also you will be probably able to do good if you stick to your strengths in that paper. So that is the thing. When you have a number of questions, you have choice.
Yeah. So freedom to leave question है ना, that I think is the critical part. It is easier, or you have larger option of leaving questions. यहाँ पे pressure होता है when you have 20 odd questions. There's a pressure. Okay, I can't leave anything. 30 यहाँ ठीक है, 10 छोड़ सकते हैं. So you are much more comfortable.
And in fact, when 100 questions were there, and it was almost a thumb rule that you have to attempt 60 in the paper, get 52, 53 correct, 8 wrong, and you will be a 99 percentiler. वहाँ पे कितना freedom था. एक घंटा हर section में था. You could leave with ease. या अच्छा ये नहीं आ रहा है, I can leave. But that freedom, I think, the fewer the number of questions, lesser the freedom to leave.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we can move forward.
So, importance of mock test. Why to write a mock test? So, my general opinion is that what mock test teaches us, that how to sit for 2 hours. 2 hours army movie तो देख सकता है, 2 hours mock नहीं बैठ सकता. So when I was writing my first CAT as a teacher in 2016, so I got a center in some school. So invigilator came to me that कि टांगे चिपका के बैठे रहना और पीठ सीधी करके बैठे रहना, क्योंकि अगर तुमने टांगे खोली तो तुम्हारा पैर सीपीयू से टकराएगा, कंप्यूटर बंद हो जाएगा, और तुम थोड़ा ऐसे रिलैक्स होके बैठे तो पीछे वाले से टकरा जाओ. So I was sitting for 3 hours, टांगे चिपका के ऐसे कमर सीधी करके. So basically, if you are not writing mock test, perhaps you won't be learning all these things. Sitting for 2 hours, आप बीच में पानी पीने नहीं जा सकते, because when you are going to drink water, लोग कहते हैं कि इसे एग्जाम में अलाउड नहीं होता है, लेकिन कोई जाता इसलिए नहीं है क्योंकि आपको ये लगता है आप उठ के जाओगे तो आपके 4 मिनट वेस्ट हो जाएंगे. So basically, liberty you have, but you don't use that liberty because everyone is scared. So this is one of the biggest reasons, I think. Second is definitely analysis of the exam. You strategize how to do those things, but 2 घंटे बैठना is, I think, that's a big deal. What's your opinion on that?
But see, basically, kya hai na? For example, if I look at, I think this is something that me and GP have taken a session, live session on this. So I can give you a gist in terms of what we had discussed. See, if you want to do well in CAT, there are 2 things that is required. One is competence. You should know how to solve questions. And the second one is execution. You should be able to put that competence in use in those, 40 minutes in each of the 3 sections. Now, people assume that mock is only about execution. But what people actually forget, that mock gives you good quality VRC questions, good quality DILR questions, and very good quality QA questions. It will also force you very early on. So if you actually look at VRC and QA, the DILR doesn't have syllabus. And even if you look at QA last year, I believe, the 80th percentile was about 12 marks, 4 questions. Utna to akka to hoga. Another thing is, if you kind of postponed the execution part, I think competence and execution has to go hand in hand, according to me. If you postpone in August, you are assuming that you're going to get, let's say you want some mark. If I don't know what is it I got to do to get those marks today, and you wake up in the month of September and take the first mock, it will be disastrous. So I think, especially, I would not have said this if this was the month of January, February, March or something. But definitely 6 months before the CAT, whatever stage of preparation you are in, whether you have started, whether you have prepared, or your whatever syllabus is this, it's kind of at least in June, couple of mocks, July 4 mocks, August 4 mocks, and then you can increase the mock. But I think thinking mock is purely about execution only misses the complete point of mocks. One other thing before I leave it to the rest of the panel is that, look, of all the content that gets created, mock is fresh every year. It picks up whatever we have seen in the past years. For example, today we are thinking about actually giving a question on CAT 2020 level, where you will get content like this anywhere else. Maybe some other mock is going to give you some other flavor. The amount of high quality question, when you start, let's say in August, September, October, you'll not be able to extract the benefit out of this amazing set of questions that you get. So also from a perspective of competence building itself, I believe that mock is really important, according to me. Yeah.
So Jijo, this is what you have told is inside out, what we think why students should write mocks. Now the outside in thinking is I have not completed my syllabus. Why should I take a mock right now? Anyway, I will not.
Completed syllabus kya yaar? First standard to 10th standard you did math. I'm first standard 10th standard you did math. You already completed syllabus once. You know how to read things. All the syllabus are completed. you are relearning things. If you wait, first of all, I don't know what completion means. I think GP can say better. I don't know what that even means. What is the point of completion?
And Ravi, Jijo and I had covered this point also in the session, and I'm just sharing that link of the session which we conducted. I think it was about 10 days ago, John Jijo.
Yeah, I think last weekend, no? Last weekend.
I'm just sharing the link.
So syllabus खत्म होने के बाद अगर स्कोर कम आएगा तो ज्यादा खराब लगेगा. syllabus खत्म होने के पहले स्कोर कम आएगा तो कम से कम कह सकते हैं, अपने आप को दिलासा दे सकते हैं कि हाँ अभी थोड़ा पढ़ लेंगे तो बढ़ जाएगा.
I think somebody has to ask me the question: when does syllabus of time, speed, distance get over? How many questions should I solve so that time, speed, distance syllabus is over? I can spend the rest of my life solving time, speed, distance questions. Na? When does things get over? I don't know. What is syllabus getting over means? It is, for example, I have joined some course, there are some classes. I'm assuming that is syllabus getting over. So again, I'm saying that when you look at something like Quant, you don't require 100% mark. I think you should know today, whatever is the syllabus that you had, how much did you gain? I think that, anyways, I think I can only advise. Eventually, it is students' CAT. They have to decide. I can only advise.
So I'll just share the link of the session. I just shared the link of the session. Students के लिए, if they want to go through that session which was conducted about 10 days ago, it's here on YouTube. You can go through it to understand what Jijo and I talked about as to why you should start taking mocks immediately. And as Jijo said, there's nothing called syllabus out here.
Yeah, and that kind of answers Ashima's question. What about those who just started the prep? Even you have to take the mocks, right? Don't wait for one nice muhurat to start your mock attempts.
It is of course very
book here that आपके मॉक के स्कोर पे कोई कॉलेज आपको एडमिशन नहीं देता.
What is of course frustrating, you see a very low score, then you start believing that happened because I have not completed syllabus.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you go and I think which is why analysis of the mock becomes very important. I think that is probably the next slide. Once you analyze the mock and then you decide what is that you want to do. But I think it kind of makes sense.
I mean, let me stick my neck out and say, okay, boss, out of all the learning resources you might have in the world, I think nothing better than a mock. The 30 odd mocks that you will get, which will work as nothing works as a better learning tool than all the mocks test system taken together.
And the process of improving your score in the mocks is you just write, you analyze it thoroughly, and you work on your shortcomings, then you rewrite the mock. Mock देने से किसी का score कभी बढ़ता हुआ नहीं देखा. So write a mock, analyze it thoroughly, work on your shortcomings, and things take time. Then you retake the mock. So basically, it is 6-7 days process. Then you repeat the mock, repeat the process, and that's how your score improves. So if you have completed
rhythm to taking a test also, rhythm to taking a test, and that probably will take about 3 to 4 tests for you to get a sense of what the mock is. Okay. So let's move to the next slide, Shashank. I think they should definitely look at GP and Jijo's analysis. I think they would have got all the gyan there. I think we can probably jump straight into our one key thing, Jijo, that you think the mock analysis must achieve at the end of the day. What would that one thing be?
Analysis is a big word, but I think at the end of the day, I need to at least know what the hell happened. Huh? I think what I have to achieve is to understand 2 gaps. I think first thing is, obviously there's an execution gap. Something happened in the exam, but what is the gap? What is my real knowledge? If I had all the time with me, how many questions could I have solved? I think that redoing the question once again, that is a must without looking at the solution. Solution is only going to help you, so only going to explain the questions. No solution is going to help you what your problem is. Nobody in the whole world can tell you what your problem is. And you also don't know what your problem is unless until you sit and figure out the problem. Otherwise, you'll do some random solutions and stuff. So redoing the question once again is a must. That's what. Mock analysis become little boring. I think life is boring, man. IIM is going to be boring. Making money will be boring. Taking the session is boring. Okay. Life is about boring. Life is about doing boring things really well. The earlier you realize this, the better it's going to be for you.
And second thing with DR you need to remember is, if you are taking a mock but not doing the analysis, then you might as well not take the mock itself. It does take time, but who said that there's any shortcut to anything? जुगाड़ हर जगह नहीं लगता. जुगाड़ के लिए काम बहुत करना पड़ता है. You have to really work hard to be good at जुगाड़. So don't look for shortcuts. And as teacher said, कि बहुत boring काम तो करने होंगे. You don't have an option.
चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं.
So this is our view analysis feature in our My Zone. So basically, when you are going to get into My Zone in the analysis part, you are going to definitely see your scorecard, your section-wise scores, what are the percentiles, what are your weak areas, strong areas. So we are analyzing everything for you. We also give you leaderboard where you are going to see the list of toppers and where you stand. You are also going to get accuracy, what percent of questions you have attempted, what percent were correct, what percent were incorrect, what percent were unattempted. as well as there is, I think, this is a very strong feature that I like, that it gives you two times. One is the time taken by you to solve the question. Second, what is the time taken by an average 90 percentiler to solve that particular question. Now your job is to beat that time, then only your score is going to increase a lot. We also have booster analysis, question types where you lost marks. So perhaps you could have worked on already there. Now, second feature that I like most is bookmark. So when you are going to, when you are doing your analysis, you are going to see these are some good questions that you want to revise in the month of, and that is going to help you a lot. And definitely recommendations are there that on which particular topics that you need to focus. Now, anyone wants to add something on that?
यार एक मेरे को जो हमेशा सवाल आता है, where are the जुगाड़ solutions, वो कहाँ पे है?
Booster analysis.
Booster analysis.
Yeah. So let the students know, because I know this question keeps coming every time we do the analysis session. So अगले वाले slide में पक्का यहीं पे लिख देना है. For every mock, I do 2 or 3 videos. One is the overview of DILR as to how you should have attempted the paper, or how I think you should have attempted the paper, which were the easy sets, medium level difficulty, or not to be attempted set. Within those, which were the questions which could have been helpful in solving the paper or the data sets. Similarly, for quant, I do which question should have been attempted in round 1, round 2, round 3, which are the easy ones should definitely have been attempted, which is the round 1. Which are the difficult ones or the time-consuming ones should not have been attempted, which is round 3, and which are the ones you should have attempted if you have time, which is round 2. Okay? And then I have what is called a jugaad solution, which means some question which I think you could have solved by the help of common sense logic using the choices, and that is between quant and DI both. Quant and DILR both. Okay? So all that is in the booster analysis. So थोड़ा सा रवि इसमें अगली बार टाइप करके बता देना, नहीं तो ये सवाल अननेसेसरी हर बार आंसर करना पड़ता है.
ठीक है.
The other thing which I want you to also look at every time Ravi does the paper, please do look at his DILR solutions. Okay? And the way he does the paper of DILR, especially not only quant also, but especially DILR, I'm talking about it because that is a section people struggle with. Look at the way he picks up the questions and uses the question to fill up the table or to solve the data set. Okay? वो पूरा जुगाड़ ही होता है आधे से ज़्यादा.
And bookmarks, both. I mean, I think you should have the habit of marking questions that you would want to revisit. So bookmarks is a very good way to get back to revision, I feel. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं शशांक.
Only one question here.
हाँ.
GP, Jijo, Shivku, when do you think the student should actually look at a video solution during his analysis? What point? During
Last.
After doing it
After
all over
solving
again.
it himself.
So I believe that by the time somebody has to come to the video solution, would have struggled with would have understood. Okay, I have written all the questions. For the questions that person got wrong, have fought their maximum to understand why they are wrong, and then get to the solutions. Then that makes solutions far better. I think the issue is that in the initial sort of mocks, you may have a lot of problems, right? So it might take a lot of time. But the time, that investment, every single time you're thinking about what you have done, thinking about through questions, that is also preparation. So the issue that we have in India is that we need to do more things, right? But I think the quality of preparation will be high, and the video solution will be the last thing that you are looking at. Is my take.
And I would also
to my mind, video solution is like a life jacket. If you are able to solve, if you know how to swim, if you are able to solve the question, अगर दिख रहा है आपको, तो solve it your own way, right? Try to solve it खुद से जितना हो सके खुद से solve करने की कोशिश करो. In the end, you go, अगर नहीं मतलब नहीं हो रहा है, या फिर in the end, if you feel that you are still not satisfied with the way you have attempted it, go to the video solution. You may just find a different way of approaching it. that is when you will have an actual learning. If you don't try it yourself, if you have not put pen on paper और आपको लग रहा है ये क्वेश्चन मैंने देखा और ये मेरे से नहीं आया और मैं वीडियो सॉल्यूशन पे चला गया, तो वही बात हो जाएगी. इन क्लास 12 शिफ्ट को आई फेल्ट दैट आई न्यू ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री व्हेन माय टीचर वाज टीचिंग. ठीक है, तो जब मैं पेपर में गया तब मेरे को समझ में आया कि वो तो उसको आता था. आसान करके बताया तो मेरे को लगा मेरे को आ रहा था.
बट रवि, आई वुड कॉल इट अ लाइफ जैकेट, बिकॉज मैं तो बोलूंगा कि बस तुमको तैरना आता है तब भी उसको तुमको देखना चाहिए, पहन के देखना चाहिए. क्योंकि बिकॉज whenever you see an alternate way of doing something, I think things will trigger and you will learn something new for sure. Unless he is repeating exactly what you did.
At least for VRC, I can say, at least for CDC Pro Mock number 1, I can say, VRC at solution I've tried to teach. So I'm at least my end, I can tell them I've taken this, I've recorded a solution. I have not tried to explain the answer. In fact, I was trying to teach how to do things. So at least because it was the first one, but I'd surely watch it. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
And there are two type of questions I would say. Definitely look at the solutions. The first one that you are unable to solve after struggling. Second, the kind of questions where you are going to take a lot of time. So let's say you are taking 4 minutes, 5 minutes, or 6 minutes to solve a question, or you are going with a traditional approach. And I'm not saying that in solution you are going to find a better approach, but there are high chances that you are going to find a shorter solution in video solution. So this is something everyone must do. Now, these are past year scores. 2020, we had 76 questions. And after that, we had the number of questions has decreased. So overall number of questions are 76. Then we had 66, 66, 66. Then we got 68 and 68. So this is what has been the total number of questions in the previous year. So because number of questions were higher, if you are going to look at 99.5 percentile, all the values are higher over here as compared to other ones. So this is what happened during COVID time, and after that they decreased the number of questions. So definitely it decreased a little bit. So
while the marks are higher, the percentage marks is almost the same across. If you look at it, while there are variation, but it's look at the percentage marks of CAT 2020 versus let's say CAT 25, you won't find too much of a difference.
Percentage wise, it's
beginning of your preparation, when you're taking your first odd mock or the second odd mock, when you look at these scores, ki, acha, 99 jane ke liye I will have to get 95 marks, 90 marks. It will look like a mountain. My suggestion is you break it down into smaller problems, smaller issues, because your total score is a dependent variable. It's a function of your individual subject scores. It is the sum of your individual subject scores, section scores. So when you break down that 95, and if you are good at one particular section in which you can vouch that you can get 40, not today, maybe by the time you reach November, if you feel you are confident in one odd section in which you can get 40, 45 marks, then the load on the other two sections comparatively is very low. The other two sections taken together will come down to only 50 marks. That is the load. So when you break it down into smaller problems, then problems seem solvable. Then problems will feel that, then targets will feel achievable. But when you look at an uphill target, right away, you will probably feel ki yaar ye bahut mushkil hai. Break it down into smaller pieces and go for solving that puzzle for yourself.
Yeah, आगे बढ़ते हैं शशांक.
This is the scores of CAT 2020, CAT 2025, and CDC Pro-1. So if you look at 99 percentile, there is a huge variation in 99 percentile, 99.5 percentile, but after 97 percentile values has been very close to each other. So I think some toppers has outperformed. They have done extremely well. Apart from that,
Before just look at the data, there is always this question. CAT is taken by 2 lakh people. CDC Pro will be taken by whatever, 5,000, 6,000. I don't know the number. How many people took the test? How can we compare? So one of the things that people should understand is that for this comparison, all we need to have is a statistically valid number of responses. And I can vouch for the fact that whenever I'm recording video solution, I look at the data. That after 2 slots, after 3 slots, after 4 slots, nothing but changes after about 3, 4, 6, 7 slots. And if you extrapolate the whole volume, it will be more or less similar, right? I think it will give you some trend. It's like election. Election mein kitna leta hai? I don't know how many data point. There will be some errors.
पहले 3-4 के बाद वो जो ट्रेंड्स के बाद वो स्टेबलाइज हो जाता है.
So eventually that is so. It may not be exactly. So if this was a paper, it may not be 120 exactly would be the score for 99.5 percentile, but it will be very close to that. And also one thing you have to understand is CAT 2025, CAT 2020 also had 3 tests, right? So it is a normalized score of 3 tests. So that 101 in CAT 2020 for 99 percentile is a normalized score after 3 separate slots in individual tests. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Yeah.
What you make up for in terms of more number of unprepared people taking CAT on the D-Day, that whatever benefit you get from that, you will lose out because of the stress of the D-Day or the tension that you have on that day. So it's a net zero-sum game. Almost it looks similar. Whatever percentile you will get in mocks, closer to it is what you will end up getting in the CAT as well.
But remember, it's when Ravi said it's closer to mock, that doesn't mean you have written only 2 mocks. It means you have written reasonable number of mocks. So your percentile is going to be closer to your final percentile when you're going to write a lot of mocks. So at the end of 4 mocks, 5 mocks, the score you are getting final score is going to be close to it. Okay, so let's move on to section wise analysis. Now this is what we had in VARC. We have 99.5 at 50% at a score of 50. DILR was 39, QA was 49. So these are the numbers for overall, for VARC, for DILR, and for QA. Now, what I have always felt like, if you are standing here, you are standing here, and you are standing here, you are going to get a very good percentile. Overall, your percentile is going to be very high. In VARC 99, in DILR 90 percentile, in QA 97, 98 percentile. Overall, your score is going to be very high. I don't think that a lot of people get 99 plus in all 3 sections. So what's your take on that?
99 plus in all 3 sections will be 45 plus 45, that is 90 plus 35 will be 125. My maths is okay, no?
Yeah.
125. 125. So if you add individual 99 percentile scores, that doesn't add up to 99% overall. That is always the case. So I mean those set of students who are equally good in all the 3 areas is going to get pretty high percentiles. But many of you can. One of the thing is, therefore, that means that mock is also going to help you figure out a game plan eventually. You know? So yeah, what is the game that you want to play? So it is not necessary that you have to do equally. So depending upon your strength and weakness, eventually your total has to be close to 100-ish. Now, if you want to get high scores, so that can happen in a lot of combinations.
So
yeah, I remember last time one of my mentees, he had one student. In fact, he was 100 percentile in VARC, and his score was 82 because he got a 0 in DILR. So one super stud in VARC, but completely flung, and he was an engineer, right? So usko 0 tha DILR mein, and he had some 23 in Quant. He had an 84 odd score, but he didn't get any calls because he didn't qualify. So your job is to make sure that whatever you're damn good at one area, make sure that the other areas are fairly okay.
Jack of all trades, master of at least one.
If you are master of none, then you won't be getting a very high percentile as well. So you have to master at least one. So in 2022, I got I think 54 marks in QA, 33 marks in DI, and 10 marks in VA. So that was very low, but my overall percentile was reasonably good. So एक section अच्छा हो गया तो बाकी score कट जाता है पूरा.
So that bare minimum you can, depending on your category, I think IIM Lucknow has the highest sectional cutoff, if I remember. I don't know about IIM Mumbai.
85,
I remember
85.
85th percentile each of the sections. So जो VRC में जो 24, DLR में 16 and QA में EA वाला test में, I think this test you look at 21. I think that QA pushed the score a little high, no, this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
This. But if
So
you are clearing the cutoff in all three sections, then you are already standing at 90 percentile.
चलो ठीक है. So
This is VARC.
Too many data. Okay, so from whatever I can see, is that more or less the distribution is, I think it was even though it was planned to be very close to 2020, the score looks very close to 2021 across exactly mapping each. But then one has to remember, of course, there might be slight variation in terms of if 3 lakh people would have taken the test, and also within each of the slots, the number of people who have taken. So if there are 3 slots. No, this is a scale score. Yeah. Can I share my screen? Is that okay? I can.
Yeah.
do it.
Yes. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this will be, so this was after, I think, Sunday evening. Okay. So I just want to give you kind of some perspective in terms of the test. So first is, let me give you a logic of this test. Is that, so in terms of the kind of sources and the kind of passages that I picked up for the test. So when I thought of mapping it to 2020, 2 things sort of came to my mind. One was, so this was a flavor. The task was, okay, the test has to kind of map to 2020 flavor. I thought, for example, why not actually pick the same source for all the passages? So there was this book called Anarchism, a very short introduction to Colin Ward. So if you look at slot number 1, there's a passage on anarchism. This particular passage from the same book, but on a very different context. What anarchists think about penal reforms. And this is Encyclopedia of Human Geography is first time it came in 2019 and again came in 2020. So obviously that encyclopedia have a lot of articles, lot of them. That was picked. And if you look at 2020 slot number 1, there was one passage on grammar and stuff. That was from this book, Stephen King. So basically it was like, okay, let me just pick sort of similar kind of passages for it. And one about this was about natural sciences, give things that are diverse. So this, if I look at, this is this is that formula that is used called the Fleshkin grade level. So I have explained in the lesson to look at how dense the passage is. Anything about 12 is considered to be dense. So there's some of the passages actually dense, right? And all the paragraph summary, paragraph jumble, all questions that I've seen was, again, very heavy stuff. So what was taken from a lot of these journals was picked, books were picked to create sort of this content. But while creating the content, so a lot of you would have, I think, reading this particular passage should have been okay. Penal reforms. This would have been absolute pain to read. That's about monogamous mice. A lot of data was there. Imaginative geographies was. I think a lot of people, if you have in this last passage, if you read the first 2 paragraphs, you would have gone bonkers. You don't know what the hell is happening. But if you start reading, if you had open mind, it was kind of easy, manageable. So all the passages were not outside of CAT, right? And all these questions were not outside of CAT. But also one of the things wanted to be careful with respect to this particular test in terms of making option that was not completely painful. But if I look at this distribution, which is percentage accuracy versus percentage attempt, this particular point talks about, I think the graph in that other slide will be slightly different. How many people attended the question, out of which what percentage got the question correct. So kind of anything about 30% to about 60%, anything about 60% counted as easy. So that's all greens. The rest is sort of medium, and this is difficult. Actually, when you look at the paper, the genuinely question that troubled, obviously there are a few that is in VA, where about 4, majority of the questions were kind of moderate difficult level, which means what likely would have happened, there are 2 options which were confusing, right? And what I've also seen here in terms of attempt of each of this passage, attempt here, attempt here, attempt here, attempt here, is it's like people were like generally, I know very few people look at all the 4 passages. Some of you look at 3 passages, some of you look at 2 passages. Whatever is the logic that they use, there was not common logic. It was kind of very difficult to pick which passage you actually want to solve. So one of the things that you have to understand is this. This is something that I want to say. And one other thing I want to say, which I'll not get into discussion about each of these things. What I've also done to create the explanation is I had recorded this on Sunday evening. So Sunday night. Okay, Sunday evening, Sunday night. So there was a lot of data available. So what I did was for individual questions, I picked up what percentage got marked answer choice number 1, what percentage marked answer choice number 2, what percentage marked answer choice number 3 and 4. Then I kind of looked at, for example, this question here. Very few looked at these 2. I think it's actually crazy that people mark this answer choice. What would have been the likely reason? So that's something that I've explained. So I don't want to get into the specific detail. The whole explanation is given for everything, so that you can actually go and watch after doing the analysis. But what I actually want to tell you something, right, is that for every one thing that you actually notice here, right, one thing that you notice is eventually whether a question is easy or difficult has got yes, there is some element to the passage, but eventually it is not even how the question is framed, right? For example, if I pick this particular question number 5 here, question number 5, second passage, it is not even how the question is framed. If I look at that particular question here, this one, this question is if true, most undermined. It's a strength and weaken question. It is sort of a critical reasoning question that a lot of you struggle and find, oh shit, is very difficult. That is a question which actually did not create much of the problem. So one of the things that is that we should not assume that a passage dictates whether the question is tough, or the question type dictates the question is tough. The game is eventually in the options, right? So one of the things that you have to do is that if you feel the option is really confusing, then you should just escape. Spending time on it probably would take a lot of time, right? So because you eventually never know where are those easy questions. It's very difficult to figure out. That's number 1. And I think that from each of this passage, either you'll get 12 marks if you attempt all the 4 questions, 12 marks, 8 marks, 4 marks, 0 marks, or negative 4 marks. The best that you can hope for, or maintaining an average of 8 marks per RC is amazing. So if you solve all the 4 passages, you should be looking at scores like 30 plus. If that didn't happen, you have to ask yourself, what did you do? If you're someone solving 3 passages, I'm just randomly looking at this, you're looking at something like 24-ish, somewhere in your 20s. 2 passages is about 16-ish. Okay. What, obviously there are some passages you would have got 12 marks. I'm looking at on an average. But you have to realize is that the attempt of VA is sort of so very low. But if I don't get, let's say, something like 12 marks or something from VA, it's over. I mean, the person who would have got that 50 marks would have been, definitely somebody would have looked at all the 24 questions. Anyone who would have, and actually did well. So I'm not getting into, and for getting those marks is also not about reading things fast. It's not about reading things fast. It's reading at your pace. If you read things fast, it's going to be confused. A lot of people believe that reading comprehension is all about doing things fast. It's actually reading at your pace of comprehension and then making good decision when you go to a question. In some cases, if you look at read a question, read the option, something makes sense. Answer choice is 3. Mark and move on. What you do with questions that is really confusing you determines eventually how many questions that you're going to attempt. So that's sort of the thing that I want to tell you. So of this, so why don't you redo all the questions once again? Look at the solution. I've tried my best to explain all the likely confusion. My explanation, you still may have issues with my explanation at some level, but you accept the answer is right. And then accept the answer is correct, and then reason with defend the correct answer, not the answer that you got wrong. Defend the correct answer and start thinking why the answer is right. So that will sort of help you with respect to your improvement in terms of the score. Yeah.
Jijo, one question that normally comes up is, and I think this probably will come, the same question will come up towards as you get closer to CAT is, my scores are not improving because I don't seem to fully understand what the passage is. So the journey from not understanding the passage too well to being able to understand and answer questions. So what do you think? Is it pure reading that goes in, or is there something else that goes into this journey?
Chivku, that's a very valid question that students have. Only problem is that I can only speculate. Right? I have no idea how the student has read the passage. I don't know whether it's what the mindset of the student is, how focused the students were reading the passage, what is their prior reading habits. I have no clue. But one thing that I know for a fact, that if at the end of the day, if you look at passages, the options, the truth of the option will be based on truth of the passage. The distortion of the option would be distortion from the passage. Now, if I don't understand the truth of the passage, no way I'm going to do anything. And if I read at a pace that is faster than my pace of comprehension, it's over. So if I were to, one of the problem would be that this whole idea about reading fast is actually completely counterproductive. It's counterintuitive also. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to, so one of the, of course, skill set that you can build and should build is your ability to read diverse topics. So yes, I would definitely say reading helps. That people should read. But I also want to say this, that before you find out what the solution is, understand the problem, which is why analysis is very, very important. That's what I'd say. Shivku.
Yeah.
I think reading fast, Jijo, doesn't only, doesn't only tank your scores in VARC. It also plays a huge role in DILR.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you read fast, you miss one odd point, then pura set depends on that.
No, but I think, Ravi, reading as a skill, I think it spans across all the 3 sections. Now, for example, even Quant also, if my reading speed is a little, I mean, I don't understand, I don't know how to skim stuff, I think I end up spending more time reading and hence less time attempting. Right? The ability
even spending a little more time reading is fine, Shivku, if you have understood the gist of it. I mean, if you're reading at the speed at which you understand, instead of running against the timer.
Yeah. So what happens, how that manifests in Quantas, they end up reading as पहली बार तो वैसे समझ में नहीं आएगा, दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ेगा और तीसरी बार समझेंगे. So if you are a little careful, hold on to yourself, and you say that I've got only one reading to do to make a decision whether I can do the problem or not, I think you'll save a lot of time.
Absolutely.
Chinku, उसमें issue ये होता है that students are not willing to give up on a question. They get emotionally involved with the question. आशकी हो जाती है. So if you're not willing to leave the question, you want to put all your attempt behind ensuring you answer something, you will only end up wasting time. So you have to be telling yourself that ठीक है, समझ नहीं आया, let me move on to the next question, शायद समझ आ जाएगा. Keep leaving question, you'll always be better off. Especially if you don't understand the question, whether it is quant, DILR, verbal, doesn't matter.
Okay. Can we have a feature to reattempt individual sections as Jijo mentioned? Oh, उसमें है ना? I think you can reattempt.
The reattempt, matlab, I think you'll not be able to take it as a test, but once you click on solution, you'll see the passage, you'll see the question on the right hand side. You will see, of course, what you marked. You will not know whether you got whether you got that right or wrong, but you will not get the correct answer. So reattempt doesn't mean that you attempt like a test. You just have access to the questions, so you can solve it once again. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, Ravi, how was the DI? Tough?
I think DILR, I felt it was more or less on the lines.
It is like CDC Pro-1 and CAT 2020 is looking exactly the same.
Cool.
It was more on the lines of what was expected of DILR. See, yeah, I think you will all also agree to this point that since 2020, also there has at least been one set which is doable for all. एक सेट ऐसा होता है जो हर किसी को करना चाहिए और हर कोई कर सकता है, थोड़ा सा बस मेहनत, right? And the other sets will be you will have to work your way around, थोड़ा सा एक्स्ट्रा का लॉजिक लगाना पड़ेगा, ये करना पड़ेगा, वो करना पड़ेगा, एडिशनल मेहनत करना पड़ेगा, but there will always be at least one set that will be there in the paper. And when I saw the paper, I felt that there was that particular set, morning, afternoon, evening slot, zone 1 to 6 वाला जो था, that is something that was made for all. I hope people have gotten that one right. I think that was the third set. If we can go to the set-wise analysis, Shashank sir.
Go to the next slide, Shashank.
So that's the one, the third set, which had these people different slots from different zones. That was the most doable out of the 5 sets, and we can see the first 2 questions being attempted correctly by most of the people in that. I think the last 2 questions, however, were case based in that which of the following can happen or cannot happen, right? So it was, I felt it was a tad tougher than our regular mock system or our regular CAT system, on the lines of, typically in the CAT you will at least have one set in which you solve it, 10 मिनट लगा दो, 12 मिनट लगा दो, 15 मिनट बना दो, आप सेट बना दो, तो पूरे 12-15 मार्क्स निकल जाएंगे गारंटी के साथ, कि मतलब these are definite values, all 4 or all 5 definite answer questions instead of cases everywhere, right? But I think this was a paper in which the first set, which was set theory, had a little bit of cases. The second set, which was about people travel, team 1, team 2, team 3, team 4 budgets, that had cases in a couple of questions. Third set again had cases in a couple of questions. The fourth set was all anyway individual caselet. It was an individual caselet, that stock trading wala. And the fifth set was which also had which of the following cannot be kind of questions, India, UAE, Russia, Iran wala jo set tha. So all the 5 sets were in a way a similar kind of a set. So it would become a little from the questions perspective, there was a good mix of, each of the sets had a good mix of questions कि आप सेट बना लो, 2 क्वेश्चन निकल जाएंगे, बाकी 2 के लिए अलग से केस बनाने पड़ेंगे. So each of the sets, from the question type perspective itself, it is very difficult to take a good decision when the paper is like this, कि कौन सा मैं set उठा के solve करूँ out of these 5, because especially if you are someone who depends on the questions, then it will be a little difficult. But if you are someone who will select the set on the face value of it, then the third set becomes an obvious choice. The fifth set becomes an obvious choice because it is more like an arrangement kind of a set. And that is what people seem to have done, picking the set on the face value of it. But generally, when you make that decision of which one to solve and which one to leave, I think you should go as deep as looking at the nature of the questions. What is the mix of questions? Because even in VARC, Jijo would agree to this, that it is not the passage that makes the difference. It is not the questions also that make the difference. It is the kind of options that are there that make all the difference, whether you will be able to do a good job while doing it or not. But I think more or less it was balanced in the sense that there was an arrangement set, there was a set theory set, there was a pure data set, and then there was one set which was doable for everyone. So in that sense, this paper had a good mix of sets from all different types of topics and types of questions that a student can expect in the CAT.
But Ravi, I've got a simple question. Hai na?
Yeah.
Just because I solved the set, what is the obsession that I have to solve all the 4 questions? For example, if so I'm just saying that I think my sense is that this is true for VRC also in my head. Eventually, marks are going to come from questions.
Correct.
So I have made an initial assessment that this particular set is something that I'm going to crack. And I got the first 2 questions out. But if I feel that question number 3 and 4 is going to take a lot of time, I can move to the next set, and solve.
Absolutely. There is no necessity that you get married to sets. In fact, जब cases होते हैं question में, पहले 2 question definite है और बाकी 2-3 question case based है, तो you get all the freedom to leave, boss. कि जो भी मैंने whatever मेहनत I did for 5 to 6 minutes, I am able to get 6 marks. Then you have to weigh it and see कि और कितना मेहनत करना पड़ेगा for the next 3 marks. The incremental effort that you will have to put for the next 3 marks, if it is increasing, leave that question. If it is okay, not very high, then solve that question and leave the other ones. So it is no necessity whatsoever.
I think this is I would say this was the best paper for the people who are question pickers, not set pickers.
Correct.
From
Everybody
every
should
set,
be
you could have picked 1 to 1 to 1.
Eventually, you have to be question picker only, na? Marks are not coming from questions only, no? So you look at, I mean, eventually what is CAT? CAT is 68 questions on the screen. You see one question on the screen. You try your very best to get the 3 marks. I mean, you have to decipher the set, crack the set. Eventually, you see the question on the screen. Nikla to nikla, nahi nikla to aage badho na.
Eventually, but
then
it
that
becomes
comfort,
very...
that ability to be question picker depends on how many sets you're able to, explore.
I'm saying something. I'm saying something else. I'm saying that I'm here and now. I cracked the set. Okay. I solved the first 2 set. I'm here and now. I see this question. Nahi nikal raha hai. Just because I read the set, just because I did this, on that here and now, why am I fighting? I am not. I think this will be the same case with the RC also, na? I read the passage.
Correct.
I've solved the first 2 questions. Here now I see this 3rd question is really confusing me. I think what is the point in me doing negative attempt, fighting really hard to get -1 mark, and spending let's say 3-4 minutes? What is the point? I mean, after the examination, you can come and do all the analysis. I'm saying that that's a decision that you have to take, no?
And DA में और भी आसान है वो decision. It's easier to make the decision because RC में at least you are tempted. अच्छा शायद ये हो सकता है.
So it is psychologically difficult, Jijo. Once you get that emotional attachment with that.
Why are we getting emotional attachment? Thodi na, I think like
Yes,
GP
sir.
said, we are not
Yes,
here
sir.
to. I mean, we are not here to date. It's to flirt with questions. Nobody's
Absolutely.
making any long-term relationship with individual questions. Why are? I think to me, I think the whole. I think the problem is that I've been told that you have to do 2 sets. In my mind, I've already rejected 3 sets.
Correct.
Because so it's like, for example, I'm doing reading comprehension. In my mind, I've already rejected 4 questions. First itself. Then my mind is saying that, oh my God. But I am only my only point is that marks are going to come from questions, and you have no clues. You are here now with a question that you're struggling really hard. You picked up 6 marks from the set. You spending another 3-4 minutes in that same set, you're still going to pick 6 marks because you're not going to hit the 3rd question. What is the point? Move, na? If you have time to come back and solve it.
Jijo, sorry, I have to log off. I have a class at 9:30, so I log off. I had already discussed the paper with the Shashank. So Shashank, you can take over and discuss whatever points I had shared with you. Okay. Ciao guys. Bye.
Okay. I think.
Overall, I would say this is a paper that someone who likes numbers would have found interesting, because the second set, वो हैदराबाद मैसूर कोची वाला जो सेट था, उसमें भी if you know कि मतलब some addition subtraction you have to do, and you have to figure out what numbers will stay and what numbers will be eliminated, right? Even if you look at the 38 to 42 wala set,
Correct. I'm surprised that there so few have attempted that set.
I mean, Shivku, the pain in 38 to 42, I'll tell you from a student's perspective. When I was solving it for the first time, I was thinking कि देखो 65 से 60 जा सकता है, 60 जा सकता है या 70 जा सकता है. मेरे दिमाग में आ रहा था कि एक ट्री बनाना है, बट कितने दिनों का मैं ट्री बनाता जाऊंगा ऐसे ऐसे, अरे बहुत सारे कॉम्बिनेशन हो जाएंगे के चक्कर में ना. द प्रॉब्लम विद द सेट इज हाउ टू रिप्रेजेंट डेटा. वो मेरे को नहीं चमकेगा. अगर वो मेरे को नहीं चमका तो कुछ नहीं आएगा वो सेट.
Ravi,
So the
in that
problem with that set is that.
Actually, in that set, you know, what was the first thought? एक ये था कि there are 6 days, there are 6 changes, multiple of 5 है, तो जो भी change होगा वो 10 के multiple में होगा. And Monday morning was 65, so Saturday evening आपका 75 होगा, एक ही केस बनेगा. ठीक है, बाकी बीच में थोड़ा बहुत ऊपर नीचे and so when that set was being edited, Shivku sir said कि ये क्वेश्चन ऐड कर दो जिसको समझ में आएगा 3 नंबर फ्री के. ठीक है, so वो 65 to 75 वाली जो चीज है, I think that was the starting point we have given in the question itself. So sir will tell कि सर ने ही बोला था कि ठीक है कि 3 नंबर दे देते हैं. So sir, your take on that set?
नहीं, आई थिंक वही है कि वो जो ट्री वाला रिप्रेजेंटेशन एंड द फैक्ट दैट द आई डोंट नो हाउ मेनी ऑफ देम gave that importance that Saturday wala price must be more than the Monday wala price. I think that is a critical thing. So then you actually knock off many branches of the tree, right? You can never be able to reach. So if you're able to catch that, it is fine. And that's why we gave that 40-second question. 40-second question was कि अच्छा अगर किसी ने 40-second question पहले पढ़ा होगा, you would have, it's a straightforward answer. Anyway.
I mean, इसमें ना Shivku, when you, if I try to solve it on paper and there is a question in which कि if Vikram does this, then Neha का transaction कितना होगा, then I will have to track multiple ways in which money is flowing. एक ऐसा ट्रैजेक्टरी जा रहा होगा, एक ऐसा ट्रैजेक्टरी जा रहा होगा, एंड में तो वो 75 ही है, बट दैट ट्यूसडे वेडनेसडे थर्सडे वाला जो चंक है, दैट इज व्हाट इज गोइंग टू कॉज मी प्रॉब्लम. कि मैं एक बार अगर उसमें फाइंड कर लिया ऐसे ऐसे ऐसे, मैंने पेन से ऐसे उसके ऊपर रीराइट कर लिया, ओवरराइट कर लिया, तो काम करने में कीचड़ वाला सेट है वो ऑन पेपर. ऑन द स्क्रीन इट इज वेरी इजी फॉर मी आल्सो. व्हेन आई वाज रिकॉर्डिंग सॉल्यूशंस, it was easy to use different colors and I could erase whenever possible. But on paper to solve it, it is going to be a little challenging only. But I think the numbers that were involved, thankfully, were not
easy.
bad. I mean 5 का ही difference था, तो बहुत सारे combinations वगैरह नहीं बनने थे. There were limited combinations that one could think of, and using that you could straight away solve 2 questions at least. So using the limited data that was there, question 38 and 42 could have been solved definitely, right? And after that, for every other 39, 40 and 41 were case based. So it was your choice whether to solve that or leave those particular questions depending on the effort that you could see for solving that.
So what's your what is it that you would tell the students to do before they get into the next mock? Between now and the next mock, how do they analyze this?
So I think this or any set of any paper of DILR, when you are looking at the analysis, I would first suggest the sets that you got right in the paper, or the set that you thought you will be able to solve and you attempted, give a good reattempt to that and understand and try to see if you got it wrong, what is it that went wrong in terms of there may be one odd point that you missed somewhere. For example, if you open that very first set, Shashank sir, जो सबसे पहला सेट था, सेट थियरी वाला,
this one,
वो ऊपर जाइए, सेटअप पे जाइए, उसके एकदम फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ पे. Now, the very first line says a leading analytics firm conducted a study on 400 large-scale digital. ये 400 अगर आपने मिस कर दिया ना, if you are reading the setup fast, अच्छा ठीक है, दिख रहा है सेट थियरी है और बाकी डेटा से मैं बनाऊंगा. If you miss that 400, you will reach nowhere in the set. There will be one odd point between the lines that you will have to read. When you read, you have to be very careful. If you go to that next वाला भी जो सेट था, उसका भी सेटअप एक बार आप दिखाइए, तो सेटअप दिखाइए. Okay, each team has 2 employees. No employee can be a part of 2 teams. Each team has 2 employees. अगर आप मिस कर देते हो यहाँ पे, this small statement, if you miss and you don't keep it in your mind while solving it, when you read the setup at a pace that you don't comprehend or you end up missing certain things, then your entire set will go for a toss. So आपको समझेगा ही नहीं कि आगे जाके मेरे को क्या eliminate करना है, क्या रखना है. So when you are analyzing, look at the data points that you might have missed and make sure that when you are reading it, when you are analyzing, there is no timer pressure. You read it at the pace and at the time that you understand, right? So धीरे धीरे करके पढ़ो and make a note of every point that you are coming across. आपके rough में everything that you are doing, like Jijo does in doodling, I say you do that doodling. Right में लिखो, right side में लिखो, आज 4 countries है, 6 countries है, 4 दिन है, ये सब होने वाला है. Only then will you be able to come up with a mind map after reading the setup and the data. Once you get that mind map, read the questions, and based on that you take a call.
I would also recommend one thing, is that when people write the mock, they use their book and start writing. But you have to remember, in the CAT, it is not A4 sheet. It is A5 sheet, है ना?
इतने size का.
A4 fold करो.
I think it is about. You look at the A4 sheet, it will be folded like this, and there'll be, I think, 28 pages is what I counted last time. It is slightly more than A5 sheet, and so I think writing
32 था, last year count कर दिए.
Whatever. 28 is what I counted. I don't know. 28.
Cost cutting,
so you'll have to
cost
basically
cutting.
figure out whether you want to take the sheet like this and solve, or open it like this and solve. I think because if this might, it sounds very silly, but I think that at least for me these things matter.
DILR, when I solve in the exam, I make sure that I am opening a leaflet like this so that ये page और ये page भी मेरे पास available है for the same set.
Correct.
Right. ताकि I am able to visualize everything in one place. तो मेरे को अगर एक सेट के लिए एक चीज ये पेज पे लिखा है और एक बाकी आधा इक्वेशन मैंने पीछे पेज पे लिखा है, then I am lost. I need to have everything on one screen. एक जगह पे मेरे सामने रहेगा, तो visualization becomes very, very important.
So I think one of the most important step according to me in DLR that completely people ignore is how they actually capture the data on the screen on the piece of paper. So there is always as a faculty, because we actually write on the board. Okay, we put all set of color, we erase it. Okay, we already create a table. How do you even create a table, right? So how do I actually write things down? How do I capture? I don't want to, when I'm solving DLR set, at least according to me, I can't be looking at the screen, go down, look at the screen, go down. Right? How do I capture the information on the piece of paper? How do I neatly look at it? I think if you don't start early and then you scribbling in the book, I think most of the time you will open a book, one DLR question, maybe 5 pages. And you suddenly sit in the CAT and realize, shit, I don't have space. So I get used to that. Solve every single set before looking at the solution. How much of a pain it is. If it takes 1 day to solve it. You thinking through this thing is going to make a lot of sense. And I also think that every single set has to be solved twice in your lifetime. Once now, once later. So you will start seeing new ways of looking at it, new table. So there is if you, I think what is very likely to happen is you will take some tests, very likely that you would have solved 1 set, you would have solved 2 sets. You will completely ignore the 3 questions. I will do it sometime later when I have time. And it'll be over. So that is, I believe, very, once the set, in fact, some of you struggling with DLR, I would go one step and say, you solved it once, you looked at the video solution, you understood the video solution, stop, solve it once again.
Exactly. I was about to say that, right? If I were to do it, I solved it, then I look at Ravi's method, whatever he has done, then go back and say, can I think like what Ravi did? I think if I think that's a better method, can I recreate in my own mind? If you can't recreate it in those 15-20 minutes after watching the video, you will never be able to recreate it. So at least it
So what
gets
I also made as a
internalized.
conscious effort while recording the solutions, Shivku, is that in every set I have told that why am I making the table? मेरा table ऐसा क्यों बन रहा है? What am I thinking? मेरा mind map क्या बन रहा है? मतलब set theory मैंने उस वाला set है. At what point did I decide कि ये Venn diagram बनेगा? After reading certain data points मेरे को समझ में आया कि ये Venn diagram बनेगा. तो मतलब 3 circle रहेंगे, 7 regions रहेंगे. Everything is a part of that. तो वैसे ट्री डायग्राम क्यों बना रहा हूँ या डेटा मतलब मैट्रिक्स इन द लास्ट सेट I chose a different way of representation than what is given in the text solution. I said, boss, 6 countries are there. They can make deals with 6 countries. So I said, okay, games and tournament में जैसे अपन metrics बनाते हैं, India versus US, India versus Iran. Let us see which tick cross करके. So why I am thinking like that? I have made sure that I have put that part into the solution so that it is very clear of why is that table coming into the picture कि क्यों वो representation हम लोग कर रहे हैं in the first place. That is very important to understand कि ज्यादातर मैंने all these years I have ज्यादातर मैंने बच्चों से यही सुना है शिफू कि सर कभी-कभी समझ में ही नहीं आता कि स्टार्ट कैसे करें. So in the solution I am focusing on वो स्टार्टिंग का माइंड मैप कहाँ से आएगा आपको कि क्या सोचना है, कब क्या सोचना है. So I've done that. So go through the solutions, but go through the solutions only after you have given another try at solving each of the sets.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Shashank, we'll move to Q1.
I'm guessing Q will be a lot of greens. I will be able to see a lot of greens.
Jijo, I have got to leave, right?
Yeah.
Catch up with you in the next one.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
And Shashank, I think we should wind up.
I think again in QA, when I look at CDC Pro-1 and 2020, why 99.5%. So at least whatever we have set out to achieve with respect to this particular paper, we could
tell. We got it. Right, estimated key. What is the number of attempts? What questions? How many questions people can get? So it's actually very serendipitous. Normally we
everybody's
never
looking at 2020, so, and by the way, 2020 was IIM Indore paper, by the way. So I think we never explicitly mentioned that last time. Why are we mentioning 2026 likely going to be conducted by IIM? It's very, I think, going to be conducted by IIM Indore. So that is
right. So Shashank, Nick, so there are enough greens. We made sure there are enough greens, and there are very few reds actually. All right. And I'm a little surprised with even the 1, 2, 3, 6 reds, right? Yeah. So in that sense, there were enough of arithmetic, right? Not too much of topics where students would have found difficult. There were few questions that were easy conceptually, but I mean, there was a lot of hardworking. I mean, you need to work really hard to get to the answer because a lot of calculations, right? So we tried to build all those elements into this, right? So I think let's run through the easy ones. 47 is interesting.
One thing that I would want to say, what I want to say to the students is, the reason why, for example, I can see, I saw one of these questions, question number 63, where attempt is very low. See, at the end of the day, that if you have a habit of skipping topics or chapters, you run the risk of skipping easy questions from those chapters.
Absolutely.
So just because if you are only doing arithmetic and algebra, there is no guarantee that arithmetic means every question is going to be easy or every question is going to be, ऐसा कुछ logic ही नहीं है. So if you are someone sitting today in the month of June, thinking that in the month of November on the day of the cat, I'm going to skip a lot of topic, I think it's very dangerous. I'm just telling you upfront.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people decide they were going to do only arithmetic or only algebra and arithmetic.
Very dangerous.
I think it is. I've seen so many people goof up, especially last year's CAT, because of this.
In
Yeah.
2023, in 2025, I think algebra was a little easier than arithmetic. Arithmetic was crazy, lengthy, and difficult. And everyone who has tried 2023,
My logic is very, very similar. The cat is a set of questions that you see on the screen. Why are you having love affair with questions and type? Now, I will see a question on the screen. If the question is easy in maths, I should get it. But if I don't know basic logarithm, if I don't know basic permutation combination, first day session of a particular basic thing, and that is stopping me with solve some stupid question, it is completely your fault. That is a decision that you made to say that somehow magically solving. I think that is a perception that arithmetic is easier than algebra or permutation combination. I think it's a random perception that people have created. I don't know which question is going to be easy, which question is going to be difficult. I still have time. I'll be agnostic. I will look at the question on screen and decide. But if I don't know the basic concept of many of this topic, it's going to be death. That's what I
And if there are 8 questions, Jijo, for arithmetic, I'm sure 3 of them are going to be tough. We have seen that always. So that literally leaves only 5 questions as a choice for a student, and उसमें एक गलती करेगा तो उसको आएगा तो 12 mark.
the sectional cutoff नहीं मिलेगा.
Then
80% लाएगा 12 mark.
Yeah, खत्म. वो story क्या है?
85 नहीं बनेगा. 80 बन सकता है, 85 नहीं बनेगा. And Hope is asking that IIM Indore sets paper, is it going to be easy or moderate? So I would like to respond to that. Hope, just look at the papers of 2017 and 2023. 2017 and 23 both were created by IIM Lucknow. The easiest quant we have seen, I think that was in 2017, and toughest quant we have seen, I think that was in 2023. So 2020 में जो हुआ है, is it going to be replicated in 2026? I have absolutely no clue. I'm not sure someone has an idea about it.
No, there's no guarantee. There is no. I think that please, you got to understand something. Since it was IIM Indore last time, we just gave a flavor of what was the last year. History may not repeat. And the second of all, the paper is easy or difficult. How does it matter? It's going to be easy for all. It's going to be difficult for all. Your job is to knock off all the people next to you. The only way that you can knock off all the people next to you is that you know the concept more than the people next to you. You are able to apply the concept more than next to you. The paper becomes difficult. वो तो गया. Okay. But you can still solve some questions. So whether the paper is easy or difficult is a very irrelevant question. Okay, because based on that, in fact, if I look at across, I think if I look at the score versus percentile of PRC is more or less sort of similar across years, more or less. DILR is barring one paper, I think 2024. Okay, is more or less similar. The biggest fluctuation has happened in Quant. In terms of, I think all the push and pull of percentile has happened in Quant only. So yes, if you are someone who is banking on Quant to say that I will want to get 40 plus in Quant, that might be and then I will have bare minimum in DRC, bare minimum in DLR. That may be if you're looking at from that perspective, maybe way too risky.
Jijo, because if we talk about 25 and 23, so even the people who were very good at quant and they said कि verbal में बस cut off निकाल के अपना कट जाएगा, तो उनका कटा ही है. तो verbal में तो कुछ नहीं हुआ, quant भी खराब हो गया. So 23, 25. So if you are going to say you are going to be lenient on verbal, I have always said in my class कि क्वांट भरोसा नहीं कर सकते, वर्बल हमेशा स्कोरिंग है. वर्बल का 91 परसेंटाइल हमेशा ही ज्यादा आता है.
Verbal is also a little more consistent. Na? For example, I know who will get 40 plus. I know who will get 30. It's a little more consistent, manageable. There might be slight variations in verbal. Of course, there was 2017 paper was much more easier. But quant is so dangerously, it can go anywhere.
It can go anywhere.
So इसमें, I mean, even if you look at the graphs that you have here, I mean, I think all the peaks have been arithmetic. I mean, मुझे लगता है people have decided कि arithmetic ही करेंगे. तो ये मुझे लगता है काफी risky वाला है. risky wala strategy at this point in time. At this point in time, deciding you will only do arithmetic, it would be very foolish, right? You can decide in the month of November that these are 3 topics. I have tried a lot, I can't do. You can leave it at that time. But for the next 5 months, my suggestion is please prepare yourself for all the topics.
Shivkar, I think this is what I'll say. How you imagine yourself to be on 29th November is going to completely determine the path that you're going to take today. If you are imagining yourself on 29th November saying that I'll be someone who will only solve arithmetic and algebra, which you're deciding today, then your entire preparation will be on that line. So if you have to, which is why mock is so important. You do the analysis, look at which are the easy question, and then you say how you imagine yourself to be on 29th November, irrespective of whatever your perception is about your level of difficulty or stuff. So I think it's sort of it's so important that
if a student is looking for only quant and algebra, then I would suggest that if you are going by that, and we try to give our mocks that are very close to CAT. So if in every mock you are scoring consistently above 33, it means I would say don't go to geometry or something. But if you are not consistent at 33 with only arithmetic and algebra, then you have to do it.
No, I will say go irrespective.
No, हम भी तो करेंगे.
तो मतलब
नहीं हमारे मॉक में भी तो नहीं होगा ना उससे 33 तो तब भी नहीं आएगा. हम भी 14
मुझे लगता है कि at this point in time decide नहीं करना चाहिए कि मैं arithmetic और algebra करूँ.
I think that why am I saying that geometry is so difficult? Why am I assuming? I'm not even saying that you should do every single question, but I think in your preparation, if in your mind, you cannot be sitting and saying that I'm just going to focus. It may be very, very difficult for people to gather what I'm trying to say, right? But you cannot be taking a test. I'm saying, I think let me put it this way, that the rejection that you take, the rejection that you do on a CAT day is a strategy decision. But that whatever rejection of CAT day cannot be a rejection of your preparation.
I completely agree with you, Jiju.
I also completely agree with your point, Jiju. What I am trying to say कि अरिथमेटिक और एल्जेब्रा दोनों अच्छे से करने पे ना मॉक में भी तुम्हारा स्कोर बनेगा नहीं. दिस इज एज सिंपल एज दैट. कंसिस्टेंटली 33 का स्कोर तुम केवल अरिथमेटिक एल्जेब्रा से मॉक में ला ही नहीं सकते. तुम कुछ भी कर लो, ठीक है. एक मॉक में धोखे से आ जाएगा, 2 मॉक में आ जाएगा धोखे से, लेकिन कंसिस्टेंटली 6 से 7 मॉक में यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू गो, यू आर नॉट इवन गोइंग टू रीच एट ए स्कोर ऑफ 30. तो बहुत फारफेच ड्रीम है. आई वुड से 25-26 की रेंज पे आदमी अटक के रह जाएगा, और पेपर थोड़ा इधर उधर हो गया तो वो 15 हो जाएगा. सो यू हैव टू गो विद, अगर यू वांट टू, इफ यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग अ स्कोर ऑफ 35 और 40, देन ज्योमेट्री, नंबर सिस्टम, पीएनसी, दीज आर आई वुड से कि नॉन नेगोशिएबल. इन सबसे एक दो क्वेश्चन हमेशा होते हैं, कम ही घटिया क्वेश्चन आते हैं इनसे.
तो जल्दी देख लेते हैं शशांक. आई थिंक मेरे ख्याल से 10 बजने वाला है.
हाँ. So basically 10 बजने. So basically this is a question that I like, question number 51. Just put x equal to 0, x equal to 1, x equal to -1, you will get the solutions. So let me start from the very start. Question number 47.
47 has a lot of attempts. I think most people have found it easy, and it is in fact easy.
And
48
and this is, I think, a very standard and generic question. 47 is.
वो चेक करना पड़ेगा कितना टाइम लगा लोगों को. Average time is what we should check. Because I think
time as well.
Because I feel that's also important. When there are 4 or 5 lines, people take a lot of time to read.
Lot of time. Question number 48. I would say assume equilateral triangle and more or less you are good to go.
Yeah, it is easy. So I see the only 27 or 28% of people have attempted it. And those who have attempted it, it's a moderately easy. I mean,
if it is true for any triangle, it should be true for equilateral triangle also, no?
Correct. Pick a equilateral triangle and do it. I mean, I don't know. 49 भी 49 भी लोगों ने किया है. ठीक है. It is, I think,
लोगों
more
ने
than
बहुत लोगों ने की है
50% have done it. And लेकिन
क्वेश्चन लेकिन ये है कि अगर मैं एग्जाम में मोर लाइकली आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू सॉल्व दिस क्वेश्चन. It's not because it's not easy, because I think I am going to get easier questions in the exam. इसको पढ़ने में और स्टेप बाय स्टेप करने में language, there are too many words in this question. The chances of error increases.
So if you notice, Shashank, सारे जो peaks है ना, सारे arithmetic के questions. Mostly all the peaks are arithmetic questions. So people have decided कि arithmetic करेंगे. Average देख के तो खुद पढ़ेगा ये लोग. But वैसे वो ज़्यादा difficult भी नहीं था, but it will take a little more time. I think people who are engineering types, right, like to do maths, I think they would have done 50. They would have jumped at it, but there is that only about 32% of people have done it, right? It's a easy question. So इसमें बहुत सारी easy questions हैं. There are lots of easy questions in this. I mean, for example, if I have to say कि I have to think a little to solve, शायद 52 में थोड़ा सोचना पड़े, right? 53 is easy. 54 maybe it looks a little complicated,
54
right? You will skip it.
No. 54 is not complicated. Just put x equal to 1, put x equal to -1. You are going to get a value of this. f of 1 plus f of -1. तो सारे पेयर्स की सेम वैल्यू आ जाएगी.
हाँ, बट तुम f of 1 plus f of -1 तो कर लिया तुमने, बट वो f of 1 and f of -1 करना है, ये लोगों को समझना पड़ेगा ना.
Right. Agreed.
प्रॉब्लम तो वहाँ पे है, right? So I think the idea will not strike many, and which is 54. वैसे भी I think only 20% of people have attempted it. If I look at 55 is a standard question, right? And the attempts have been okay, right? It's about 40-45% people have attempted it. But
accuracy is high.
हाँ, accuracy is very high. But बस वही है कि इसमें थोड़ा गधा मजदूरी है, right? 56 standard question, but I think attempts seem okay.
So basically question number 56, I would say कि ये क्वेश्चन लोगों को मुझे लगता है 4 से 5 बार करना चाहिए, because since 2017 to 25 I have seen this question at least thrice in different
Diophantine equation बोलते हैं ना इनको,
quadratic को बोलते हैं ये
Diophantine, because Diophantine equations are equations which has got integer solutions. So the way in which the moment you see integer, it works. It is so easy to solve because it creates a lot of constraints automatically. So people look at that equation and say it is too difficult, but actually these are integer solution, no?
Yes.
So 57.
I won't do it. It is a very case-based, case-dependent question. You have to make a lot of cases.
हाँ, but 57 attempts कम है. 58 तो I think laddu है. I think that seems to have also people recognize this as a laddu. Maximum attempts, right? But surprisingly, the accuracy in 56 is more than the accuracy in 57. Surprising. 59 is a, I mean, question.
I think it's not. इसको ऑप्शन से आराम से कर सकते हैं.
6 centimeters radius ना.
हाँ.
तो मैं जुगाड़ करूंगा. I'll convert all that pi into 3. First option is 12 into 3 minus 9 into 1.7. 6 into 3 minus 9 to 1.7. And then ऐसा करके.
First thing I am going to do in this is I am going to eliminate 9 root 3.
हाँ, pi तो आएगा ही.
हाँ, सर्कल का क्वेश्चन है, पाई नहीं है उसमें. ठीक है. So if you calculate the values ना, so basically half of the circle is going to be what? 18 pi. So basically I can directly eliminate option 2 and option 4. एक ही option.
The radius is 6 ना, so pi r square होगा ना, 36 into 3 divided by 2. Pi is 3. Okay, so I think some 3 option will get eliminated. That's my thinking. I have not seen the question. कुछ तो जुगाड़ करके it come out accordingly.
देखो, I
Question
think
number
choice 4 तो
option number
definitely
2
out है.
is
You
or
see,
choice 2 be
if you look,
definitely
if you look
out
at this
because
figure, it
choice 3
looks
is
like an
very low.
equilateral triangle almost. That figure 59, it looks like an equilateral triangle of side 6. It's just a little more than the area of equilateral triangle. Root 3 by 4 into 6 squared से थोड़ा ज़्यादा होगा आंसर. खत्म story.
Option 1.
Only option 1 will give it.
I'm sure the GP would have done this using that Jugaad only.
I'm assuming I have to look at GP's Jugaad.
I am very surprised, Shivku, that you are thinking this manner. I think what has happened to you? You will be disgusted by these methods. And people are.
I know. So I leave that
Question
method for
number-
GP to put in his Jugaad. 60
Question
is 60. Lot of
Again-
not many have attempted.
Cases भी हैं उसमें. Not I would say it's a
60.
pretty much doable. 61 I liked a lot क्योंकि अब write all the powers of 2 and C के 2 को ऐड करके तीसरे को सब्ट्रैक्ट करके कौन सी वैल्यू 224 बन रही है. That's it.
Again, integer.
Integer,
natural
integer and power of 2. So it still
I
is
think one of the things that people don't understand is they see the number number based questions are very less, but lot of questions in the
even
CAT
in
is
algebra.
disguised as numbers, and numbers eventually boils down to what? Factors, multiples.
Correct.
Right? And then the moment you see integers, the moment you see this, you stop algebra, you stop everything, and you start thinking numbers. And I think that is
that kind of transcends into DI also. DI, a lot of things are basically number based.
number based.
The integer,
yeah. Number नहीं होता है बोलते हैं, but lot of these questions are, people call it algebra, but solutions are integer solution. How is it algebra? This is going to use some concept of factors and multiples, na?
Absolutely. 63 is आसान है, बहुत ही आसान है, right? 62 लोग छोड़ दिया है काफी. I mean, I think very few people, only 10% of people have attempted 62. Only 10%.
64, I think it's a tad difficult question. I don't think people should attempt it as well. 65 is a pretty no,
but
बहुत कम attempt है.
64, 65, 66 attempts are less than 15%.
66 they many people are not going to attempt, na? So I think these are the kind of questions which merely says that it looks very dangerous. But that 65th question is merely talking about a algorithm for a sequence.
Correct.
Start putting values, okay, and you'll see some pattern and use the pattern solve it. These are the kind of questions that people will freely, it's completely they miss. Look at 67 integers.
67 is also integers, correct?
This has got nothing to do with algebra.
It doesn't have anything to do with algebra. Ultimately,
it has got something to do with algebra. To eventually boil down to somewhere I have to use multiples and stuff.
It is 67 has been attempted about 12% or 13% of people.
It will be, no, because they look at A sab karke.
So it has come down. I think 68 also, right? 68 anyway. I don't think many people would have.
67 also, that whole modulus deke, it's like shit.
Correct. 68
so if I actually look at that 67 question, x square is going to be always positive. Mod of x is always going to be positive, na?
Positive. Correct.
So
absolutely.
So that value will always going to be positive. Whatever you put, I think I know that there will be negative side of it. So you can treat for I think that you can call mod of x as y. And I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. How I'll solve.
I would say 4x is fine. No.
Which means your x cannot go beyond 2 or 3. That's it. It cannot go beyond
I would say
2.
4x square minus 8x should be negative.
Correct. Makes sense. Yeah.
Or
because
0.
You are adding
or 0.
Or both 0. I don't think there will be too many values. Na?
Correct. So you will not x ka value jo hai, it cannot go beyond +2 or -2.
Yes. Or that will give us that.
What is the answer? Is it 1 or is it 1 or I think 0 doesn't work, na? What is the answer to this question?
7.
0. No, it is talking about number of solutions, not the value.
Number of solutions.
Okay, I got it.
You'll have to count.
Yeah.
You have to count.
Okay. I
So-
think that's it. So
That's it for
there was a lot of questions in Quant. Quant was the one that moderated this paper a little bit.
So at the end of the day, if you look at across the 3 sections, whatever we aim to achieve, at least in terms of 2020, at least from a score perspective, it seems to be matching. So we're obviously not going to tell you what we'll do in next mock or the mock comes after that. We'll have all sort of variations.
Absolutely.
Because I remember last year when we are giving difficult, so 2024 was very easy DLR. And people are predicting, okay, CAT is now deciding to make DLR easy. Okay,
Correct.
we created mock, but DLR was very tough. People said that no, CAT is going in a particular trend. And then when eventually the CAT actually happened, DLR was bonkers. So
Yeah.
it is. So when these mock tests, you have to treat each of the mock tests as a learning opportunity. It's actually fun. I think mock is such a fun exercise. The score is very bad, you will sit and cry. But once you start doing the analysis, when you keep doing the things, or you discover so many things, so many ways of solving, the way in which I think other very important thing about CDC Pro mock is that you'll get some solid sort of the faculty members who will be with you, who has actually never taught you, but is now going to teach you. If you miss up all those, for example, if you miss Jugaad solution of GP, what is the point in paying money for this course?
Correct.
What was the point? And there's no point only. It doesn't make any sense. And you are I think that the problem that happens in all these mock is, the moment you see a score, we cry. I know that doesn't make any sense. We are doing net practice. Match is after 6 months. Net practice mein out ho gaya.
Yeah, I remember last time people were kind of piling on us for making DI difficult because they wanted it to be easy.
And last month in the November, in every analysis session, people were shouting at us continuously, "Roz gali, ye kyun bana rahe? Ye itna difficult kyun bana rahe?" And once CAT was over, everyone was saying, "You have done too good. आपने कम से कम उसके लिए prepare करा दिया."
But prepare, you can't realize after taking the CAT was the promo was amazing, na?
Correct.
It doesn't make any sense. Na? You said that. What I'm saying to all the students is, it doesn't matter. Eventually, I don't know what the CAT is going to be. Nobody knows. I don't even think CAT knows. IIM Indore knows what it's going to be. Okay. Nobody knows. So only thing that we know is based on what CAT does, we will give you various kind of variations. And there is no point sitting and predicting. I think who is going to sit and predict what is going to happen in the future? Who is the guy? The only thing that I know, given the paper that I see today, given the competence that I have, given the paper that I see, did I do a good job? Number one, was my execution good? Was my decision good? After the mock, are there things that I can pick up and learn? And then keep learning this, mock after mock after mock after mock after mock after mock. If you can keep doing this, imagine high quality, awesome set of questions of 15 mocks is going to change a lot of things about your prep. That's what I'll say.
Okay, and we will try to make sure that we guys see all varieties of.
And we'll also make sure that you keep giving galis to us, gali to our mock.
Yeah, correct.
And then on the day of the CAT, you guys will come and tell me some amazing mocks. That is what we'll do.
Jijo, when we are going to make very easy mock, your percentile is going to drop. Then you are going to shout at us. When we are going to make a difficult mock, your percentile is going to go a little higher. क्योंकि स्कोर ड्रॉप कर गया.
तो शशक गाली पड़ दिया.
हर मॉक में कुछ तो ड्रॉप करेगा. सो स्कोर बढ़ेगा तो परसेंटाइल ड्रॉप कर जाएगा. परसेंटाइल बढ़ेगा तो स्कोर ड्रॉप कर जाएगा. And this happens every time.
Mock is not a reflection of who you are. No, it's a learning tool. If you treat it as a learning tool, it's an amazing tool. I think what you'll have to do is that it's going to be traumatic. Trauma is a bad word. Let me not use it. You will see bad score, good score. So what you'll have to do is after every mock, you have to create a process, task, like a robot. task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, and you have to just do this task. So after every single mock, create these are the tasks. I'm going to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and do the task completely. Okay, that if you don't create those tasks that you want to do after the mock, you will sit and cry, and then you skip it. And you will create this false. You are trying to console yourself, saying that the problem that happened is because I didn't do syllabus. And then you create this false hope to yourself. You lie to yourself, and do all this nonsense. So that's something I want to say.
Chalo, ठीक है. I think guys we will meet next mock is on June 13th. I think.
Yeah.
June 13th है ना?
So June 15th को मिलेंगे.
15th को मिलेंगे. चलो, bye. See you guys. Thanks, Jijo. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.